Hi everyone. This video is being pre-recorded. Mustard Sensei is going to interview me. He's turning the tables on me. For me, it's like going to the dentist. Without further ado, here's Robert Mustard Sensei, my good friend.
All right, before we start, I'd like to thank everyone for their help and support with all the questions on Messenger and Facebook. I really appreciate it. Any screw-ups when I ask a question of my interpretation, I apologize in advance. And we'll get right into it. But again, I want to say thanks to everyone for the help and support. We're turning the tables here because I want to show support for Thambu Sensei. I will call him Joe from here on in, and I'm sure he's going to call me Rob because we are very, very good friends. And I will preface before all the disrespect I sent his way and stuff like that. Once there was a time, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, I was at one of those kind of moments in Aikido and I was feeling really crappy. And I was talking with Joe and he said that I have no idea how much respect I command on and off the mat in Yoshinkan Aikido. And that made me feel a little bit better. And I would like to turn the tables on him and tell him the same thing. He has absolutely no idea how much respect and love, even though we're not supposed to say love as martial artists, how much respect he gets from everyone that I've ever talked to him. And that's why we're going to ask some questions, because I want to go a little bit into more about what he thinks about Yoshinkan Aikido and his kind of philosophies, because he's been asking other people, and I think it's really good for people to hear what he has to say, because it's magic. And that's a good thing I'm going to say, and we're going to get right into it. So anything you'd like to say before we start? I know usually let people tell you where you're from and what you've been doing, but the truth is everyone knows who you are. They might not know exactly when you started in Melbourne, but they know you were in Malaysia. That's where you started. If there's anything you'd like to say before that I haven't said, go ahead now before we start.
I think it's a waste of time. They can read it on Google. The one thing I want to say, otherwise I get yelled at by Mark Hadiaja, is hashtag keep the flame alive.
Okay, hashtag keep the flame alive. Let's go. And because he was the first one, we're going to start with John Anthony from the UK. And he sent me a question. Thank you, John. And I don't know if I'm going to kind of rewrite it a little bit, but he says, and he asks, how do you see the change in Yoshinkan from your beginning, and even if your time in Japan up till now? And have you seen either a negative or positive influence in how and what has been taught today? Maybe the differences, positive or negative, or the changes. What do you think?
Sorry, in how it's being taught or what's being taught?
How and what? The way it's being taught, how it's been taught, positives, negatives.
All right. It's been 10 years since I've left the Yoshinkan organization. So from now on, I'm going to talk about the Yoshinkan system of Aikido rather than the Yoshinkan per se.
Okay.
How I was taught was a very, very old style of teaching Yoshinkan Aikido, where it was just repetitious. The techniques weren't very strict, and it took a long time to learn. It was, I don't even know what it was based on. Jim Dawes sent me a video of my first demonstration in Japan in 1983, and also was the first video ever of me. And it was appalling. I'd been doing Aikido for 10 years. I was Nidan. It was shocking. So I know firsthand the quality of the system and how important the systematic way Yoshinkan Aikido has of presenting the techniques, of teaching people, of coaching. It's a brilliant system. I've seen good Aikidoka make good instructors in all styles of Aikido. It's only in Yoshinkan Aikido that I see average Aikidoka make good instructors, and that's because of the system. In other styles, if you're average as an Aikidoka, you end up being an average teacher. In Yoshinkan Aikido, because the systemization, it can take you to another level. Unfortunately, the way I see it, everyone's stuck in that regimented version. I think the system is meant to take you to a certain place. In Yoshinkan system of Aikido, we make the fallacy of the system becoming the be-all and end-all. There's a great documentary called In Search of Greatness, and they interview people like Wayne Gretzky and stuff like that, and they talk about the playtime. We don't have that in Yoshinkan Aikido. Jiwaza is meant to be the playtime, but we try and systemize that too. I'm guilty of that as well. So I think what's great about the Yoshinkan system of Aikido is the systemization and the mechanics. What's its downfall is that we are stuck in it. We need to break free. And if anything, the pathway has got narrower and narrower and narrower and stricter and stricter. I'd like to see it open out a bit more and people be a little more free, do techniques that Mustard Sensei hates, like kaiten nage and koshinage and stuff like that. But I think we need to experiment. We need to broaden our horizons. Sorry, was that a mouthful?
Yeah, I was going to say, Jesus Christ, that's going to take 45 minutes for each question. Then we're going to be here for hours and hours. And well, I have no problem with koshinage, but if you're going to do kaiten nage, then I'm just going to cancel the interview right now. But
well, John,
that leads. That's a really good answer, I think, and basically I kind of share your sentiments on that too. And that goes into another question. I've kind of got it down here. I'm haphazard because, to be quite frank, I was a bit concerned because I've never done an interview like this, and I don't care if I sound like an idiot. Well, you're meant to ask the question, not tell stories. Yeah, well, I don't care if I look like an idiot, but I really don't want you to look like an idiot. But this goes to our buddy, my brother, Chris Johnson. He sent a list of 30 questions, but I'm only going to ask 1 or 2 or 3. And because it comes to what you're talking about, the systemization and what you're talking about teachers. And Chris, I think it's a good question. He says, or he asks, how important is it that a martial arts teacher be able to perform the techniques at a high standard? I don't mean doing mystical, magical stuff or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, look.
I mean, that's what I think he means.
Yeah, look, you when you go play soccer, you don't expect the coach of 50 or 60 to run around everyone in circles. His skills might have gone out too, but he can take you there.
Yeah.
So yes, as a practitioner, I'd like to be able to perform at a high level. But as a teacher, is that important? Maybe not. Obviously, it's great if you can do both. Obviously.
Yeah.
But you know, and we tend to respect the people who can do it, but we shouldn't shun away from those who can't do it but who can take you there. And I always say, if you want to learn a good martial art, pick someone who's deaf, dumb, blind, and stupid, has 2 left feet and no right, and learn from that person, because he has studied the perfect system. Instead, we learn off naturals, and the system is maybe secondary to that person, but it's that system that we're looking for.
Yeah, yeah. I think, yeah. I mean, and again, this is all about you, not about me. But if I think you're right. I think also, I believe too, like you said. I mean, Usain Bolt's sprint coach can't run to 100 meters in 9.5 seconds. But he can see stuff that what Usain Bolt has to do. But so I think they have to be able to understand it. And I also say many times, and I think you'll agree, that if the teacher can't do it, there's just no way the student's going to get it. He's got to be able to do it.
I made a speech for Inoue Sensei's 77th birthday, and I compared him to, I said he's one of the best teachers around, and a teacher did 2 things. 1, a teacher was a candle to light the way, and 2 was a mirror to reflect yourself. Yeah. And I think he did both. And those are the
Jesus, when the hell you get so philosophical? The hell?
It's the alcohol. It's those crap. 2 things that we need to look at from a teacher. The rest is, I think, a bonus.
Yeah, cool. All right. The next question, kind of running around, it's also from the UK, and it basically says, it's from Nathan, and he would like to go in front of the world to say, well, you're going to finally admit that you were the guy that rammed his head on the ceiling beam at Mick's house instead of blaming it on me, because I think for 10 years he blamed me, but actually it was you.
Nathan, I have no recollection of that incident. I don't know what you're talking about, but it was him.
Perfect. Okay. The next question I think is quite good. Is from someone we both know and adore and love very much, from Mick in Preston. And he says, you know, he says, you've been around a long time and you've seen all the guys. And he says, who do you consider your greatest influence as a teacher? I mean, you've been around all the greats like I have, but who do you think, who is your greatest influence as a teacher? And he also wants to know what your opinion is on Takeno Sensei, Inoue Sensei, and Chida Sensei, but we don't have to answer that because, you know, I can say what you think.
Okay. Luke, thanks for the question, Mick. It's a hard one because different teachers have given me different things, and to single one out over the other is kind of like I'd find it difficult.
Sure.
I've taken different things from different teachers. Takano Sensei once said to me, I need to choose, and he had one teacher and one teacher only, and I had to choose who I wanted to follow. All I did was say Os, but in my heart, I know I had different teachers, and I chose what I want. And I don't know, but I've always been like that. I've always been ready to take on whatever people want to give me or whatever I can take. And to say who was my main influence, that would be hard. I mean, of course, Thambu Sensei was my first teacher.
Yeah.
Chida Sensei, Takano Sensei gave me a lot. And Inoue Sensei was, I guess you can say, my last influence, my last teacher. But also, you know,
that's a pretty,
this man in front of me here, teaching with him over the last 10, 12 years, I've learned a lot, watching him teaching and stuff, and I've taken it on. So there's a lot of people who've influenced me.
Yeah, well, that's nice to say, because, I mean, the truth is, because of you, and I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass, because you know I don't like you anyways, but because of you, I've been introduced to the Czech, I was introduced to England. Because of you, I met Mick, Ken, and Phil in the UK, and Mick's become one of my dearest friends. That's all because of you. Because of you, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. If it wasn't for you, I'd still only just be almost famous in Burnaby. So that's part of it, and I appreciate that. So don't give me any compliments. You're the guy who's done it all for me. What I'd like to say, though, going with this question, because I think it's a really good answer, because we're all a product of everyone, especially if you're at the Hambu when there's so many different teachers. But I did a demonstration seminar once in Philadelphia, and Utada Sensei, who was the teacher there, told his students, he didn't say anything to me. He told me afterwards, I found out from one of his senior students, that he told people that he thought I was the perfect blend of Takino and Chida. And my question would be then, turn that around back to you. If someone was going to say about Thambu Sensei, who do you think they would say he's the perfect blend of blah, blah, blah?
I leave that to other people to decide. I'm not going to say that. But before you interrupted me, I was going to answer the second part of Mick's question.
Okay.
What did I think of Takano Sensei? Takano Sensei, we all know, is a very, very strict teacher. And we used to go and visit him in Yamanashi, also train with him in Koganei in the old days. He would berate you. He would give you absolutely a hard time, berate you, but then he would fix whatever it was your mistake was. And he was a brilliant teacher. Chida Sensei, if you wanted anything from Chida Sensei, you had to take it. He just, you know, I've understood things from Chida Sensei 5-6 years afterwards. And taking ukemi for both of them was different. But the same. They were powerful, strong. You didn't feel them, you just felt the mat. Inoue Sensei was on a different kind of level. He, you know, I took uke for him once, and he did something, and I was on the floor, and I stood up and I said to him one more time, and I grabbed him really hard. He did it again, and I said in Japanese, how? And he just said, I don't know, and walked away. You know, it was brilliant. And each of them are brilliant in their own right. They all came from the same organization, same teacher, but they're all different. And that's what, for me, Budo is. We get a lot of teachers today wanting to be like someone else, emulating someone else. Sure, when you learn, you emulate, but then you need to discover yourself and be yourself. You cannot emulate for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they ever told you that, but I was actually specifically told, you know, find my own way. Don't copy anyone. Find my own way. And depending on who you talk to, I did. But yeah, perfect. Yeah, we could probably talk forever. And again, I think people, if it means anything, I always tell people, you've probably heard me say it, that I never had a lot of real close contact with Inoue Sensei. I wish I had him, but he didn't come back to the Hambu until after I left. But I was his translator a couple of times, and I taught with him in Hawaii. And I'll tell you, I hope when I'm 75, that people will talk about me the same way I talk about Inoue Sensei when he was 75 when I knew him, because he was a perfect
Aren't you 75
gentleman.
now?
No, I'm close, getting close.
You look good for 75,
Cool.
man. You look good for
Thanks
75.
very much. Appreciate it. Perfect. All right. This interviewing stuff's easy. It doesn't sit there and get insulted. Perfect. Okay. All right. The next question I think is a good one too, because it reflects on a little bit the way we came up. Because I came up old school like yourself too, but this is from one of our friends in the Czech Republic, and he asked a couple questions, and some of the people that sent me questions say overlap. So if I don't mention your name, forgive me, but it means the kind of questions are the same. And his question is that in Aikido Shugyo, Shioda Kancho Sensei says that when you're young, you should train tough and hard and physical. And then when you get older, then you can get a little bit softer. What do you think about that? Or what do you think is the right balance? And I'll preface that with, once I did a technique on a guy and I almost got him. He was a very strong guy. And I did one of those soft, this was 15 years ago. One of those soft Kancho Sensei techniques, and I almost got him, but he was strong enough and knew his balance that I almost got him. And he looked at me and said, that was really good, great. And then unfortunately he went up to someone and told them that, he's strong now, so he'll do the hard stuff. And then when he gets older, he'll do the soft stuff. The problem is now he's older, he can't do the soft stuff. And he can only do the hard stuff, but he doesn't have the power anymore. I don't know I know how your body is because we teach together so much, but I can't grip anymore for a hard, strong Nikajo. Can't do it.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know if that makes sense. So what do you think about that? I mean, I agree, because when I was young, that's all we did was balls to the wall every class all the time.
I think as teachers, we make that mistake. We discover better ways of teaching, better ways of doing things, faster ways of learning, and we try and pass it on to our students. And we end up with students who have no spirit, no tenacity. I think when you're young, you should train like a young person, go hard. And obviously that means getting hurt. Obviously that means doing stupid things like doing Hayu Kemi with a cigarette and a beer in your hand.
Yeah.
I've rolled over cars. Rolled over the bonnet of cars just on a day.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who is good who didn't do stupid things. I don't know anyone who's good who didn't go hard when they could. Ask me to roll over a car now, I'd say nah. I'd have a beer instead. Back in the day,
I did a flip on the soft mats yesterday and hurt myself.
Well, at 75, you shouldn't be doing that.
Absolutely.
But do you know what I'm saying? It's like, and this is a fallacy. You cannot get good. A young person training like an old person, or an old person training like a young person. You got to do what's right for you. Now, your example of that guy, that's not symptomatic of what I said. That's symptomatic of that guy not getting any better.
Yeah.
And you know that. You know that.
Yeah, I know.
He stayed at that level, and you and I know lots of people like that.
We see a lot of. Then that goes to kind of another question. This is not anyone. This is what I'm going to say, because I'm going to ask I think I kind of know your opinion. I know you pretty well, but example. Then how do you rate, or how do you handle it? For example, my dojo's small, and sometimes I think, oh, it's great. I got 4 or 5 young guys who are under 22. And I think, well, this will be great. And then 3-4 minutes before the class starts, someone who's 55 who struggles with just getting up and down from Seiza enters the class. So I can't do anything. I did a Hajime class with a bunch of old people and one young 18-year-old. And I was trying to remember, I was thinking, when you do CPR, are you supposed to blow 30 times and push twice, or do you blow twice and push 30 times? I couldn't remember my CPR. And the young kid loved it. He kept saying,
CPR from you, they're screwed. Don't worry about it.
He said, and the young kid, after every class, he'd come into the dojo, he would say, oh, Sensei, how are you today? Can we do Hajime training again today? I say, yeah, we'll see. How do you kind of work around that? Because you're pretty hardcore all the time, I think. And I've been to your dojos, and all your students are serious, but some of the older ones.
Okay, so this is a fallacy. People think I'm hard all the time. People have said to me they're afraid to send their students to me because I will break them. I've got so many people here who are not in their prime, who have injuries. but yet they train, and they train 100% to their ability, to their level.
Yeah.
And going back to your question about, having all these young people and then a 55-year-old walks in, or a 60-year-old, it's a numbers game. And, if you have 3 people on the mat and one person with a disability walks in, that's a 25% of your class there. But if you have 12 people on the mat, 20 people on the mat, one person walks in, they're a small percentage, and then you can rotate the rest of the 20 around with that one person. So it's a numbers game, and unless you have the numbers, you need a Chapman in your dojo to build it.
Hey, I've been told I'm a businessman, so you go. So, yeah.
We won't go there. We won't go there. We won't go there.
All right, then the next, let's kind of go along here. It's kind of interesting because you've been a professional for a long time. This goes to our Czech from Republic, one of his questions, and then Raphael from Poland, who says he wants to test, but you won't test him. So I don't know why you're always whining, because he's a brilliant young man. He should be higher, but you won't test him. It comes from him and his son Pavel. And same time aligned. So Raphael says, do you think you can pinpoint a time in your life or a moment when Aikido became like a real passion? And that goes into the other guy from Czech's question. When did you decide to become a full-time teacher? I mean, I fell into it, and you've been doing it for a long time, kind of, if you know what, if that makes sense. I mean, you've always been passionate about Aikido, but I think to realize that you're going to make it your life's work, it's got to be more than just making money or a hobby or something that you just happen to be good at.
Okay, so firstly, Raphael, I know that wasn't from you, but I would test you anytime, except I'm no longer in the Yoshinkan. So
I'll test him anytime.
If you join the Shudokan, I'll test you. But otherwise, I can't disrespect the Yoshinkan by testing one of your students.
Raphael, if you join the Shudokan, I'll make you 7th dan. How about that?
Okay, so now, when did I become a full-time or discover my passion?
Or maybe even when did you really believe that? And again, I'm not talking about me, but someone once told me that I was born to teach Aikido, and I looked at them and I said, "What the fuck are you talking about?" But the truth is, I was probably born to do Aikido, and I would say the same for you. But I didn't really understand that till I was almost maybe 40.
Yeah, look, I'd like to think that, and people have said that to me, but all the stars, all the government regulations have conspired against me being a full-time teacher. At one time, I had 3 jobs to keep a dojo running, and now with COVID, I don't know if we'll survive. But c'est la vie. You can think it's your passion. You can do what you want. I think just go with your heart. And to answer your question honestly, I don't have a specific point when I discovered it was my passion or it was for me. I still don't know if it was for me. I mean, I'm young compared to Mustard Sensei, very young. So, there's still life for me ahead, but he's coming to the end of it. And COVID, the banks take over the dojo. Maybe I'll go fishing, start a new career. I don't know. And it's just, if it's a passion, then you do it for as long as you want. And when you no longer want to do it, you change directions, go somewhere else.
Cool.
And that's your answer there.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. Okay, and then we got to get into some serious stuff. And from our good friend Ben Stone, he wants to talk about alcohol and Yoshinkan. And I have no idea what he's talking about, but maybe
Ben, I don't know what you're talking about, Ben.
I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know either. Sorry, Ben. Can't really tell you what's going on here. Okay, good.
That's who I should interview, Ben.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
He's had met so many top martial artists. For those of you who don't know, Ben Stone used to be the editor of Blitz Martial Arts magazine. Yeah. He's a top guy, a bit dopey sometimes, being beaten around by Paul Kell. So he's a bit soft in the head now. Used to be smart.
Oh, great. He must be a serious guy if he trains with Paul, that's for sure. All right.
Paul just uses him as a crash test dummy. That's it.
That's okay. Fair enough. We did that for a long time too. Probably that's why. All right. Then basically, record, this might take some serious stuff too, but we better get over it before. But this goes into a couple other people too. But this is from our good friend Reg in Japan, and he says, "Why do you and I have such opposing views on smiling? And what are your views?" He says, "Ask me, Rob and Joe, but I only want to talk about you on what is a good dojo atmosphere."
Okay, no, I'll throw you because you're older than me, and always age before beauty. You go first. We'll talk about the smiling part, and then I'll give you my read.
Yeah. All right. Okay, and I'll just preface that because you're going to make me feel bad and yell at me and stuff too. But I remember you said in Indonesia that I tell jokes and I laugh and I'm funny, but I've got a really, really serious side to me. You don't want to see me get all wound up. So thank you for that. Before we go that, for me in my dojo, there's no talking. Nobody looks at the clock. Nobody really farts about with their dojo. So we're kind of serious that way. But I think I've changed as I've gotten older. And I liked what Chida Sensei said once about Gozo Shoda. He was very charming with the audience, but really severe with the Uchideshi. And I like to think that I'm the same, because most people don't want that kind of hardcore, hard training or yelling and screaming and the stuff that we went through, I think. And I think one thing, I know you do it, and I'll let you talk about that too, but I think one thing I'm good at is I think I can give people what they need. And what I tell people, it's not true, of course, but the people in my dojo that I need to kick the crap out of, I kick the crap out of them. The people that need to be mollycoddled and patted on the back and say, good job, I do that, because those people help keep the dojo going. With my student Farshad, I just give him everything I can to help him. And I sometimes throw him hard, sometimes throw him soft. And he's been with me for 18 years, so he's seen me change too.
So, Mustard, you didn't answer the bloody question.
Yeah, I did.
Do you allow people to smile in your dojo? That was Reg's question.
Of course.
You answered the second question.
Of course I do. Well, yes, I let them smile if it's warranted, but they also know how to read me. Sometimes I'll tell a joke and everyone laughs and Farshad won't. Other times I'll tell a laugh and Farshad doesn't, he'll laugh too. In terms of, I think of smiling, every time, if Takano Sensei threw me in a demonstration, I never smiled. And if he threw me in class, I kind of knew him in the sense that if he threw me, I got up, I could read him whether he kind of wanted me to smile or not, if that makes sense. Not smile like ha, ha, ha. One guy, I threw him in a seminar, and every time I threw him, he started giggling and laughing, and I just said, stop it. So, but in my dojo, yeah, people will smile because we're just not as serious as perhaps we should be, or my reputation, if you could say, warrants it, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, but I think also, you know, Ueshiba Sensei said the dojo should be a place of joy, right? Or like one guy told me on the phone, Aikido is the art of love. He wants to join it. And I sure felt the love from Takano Sensei and Chida Sensei, let me tell you.
Look, in my dojo, if you have a smile, have a laugh, that's fine. But you got to get back serious again. And if I throw you, I threw someone once in a seminar in the UK. He lay on the ground laughing and saying, wow, Sensei, that was good. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
You know, if I throw you, the way I was taught was you bounce up and you look at me in the face again and say, I'm ready to go again. That's what I want from my students. Every time you get thrown, every time you fall, you don't giggle and laugh. You get up, you look your partner in the face and say, I'm ready to go again. I used to get smashed in the Yoshinkan Hombu Dojo. You know, I was targeted, I got smashed, and my head would be ringing, the bells would be ringing, but I would stand up and look at them and say, good to go, let's do it again. I didn't want to, but that's the way I was taught. And if you don't have that, if you don't have that sense of get thrown 7 times, stand up 8, if you cannot keep that game face on, which I know you can switch it off and on, then where's the Yoshin? Where's that strong spirit?
Yeah, that's the hard one. Yeah, that's hard.
Sorry, I haven't finished yet, Mustard.
Yeah.
Not only, but also, we need to cultivate that. You can switch it on and off. Unfortunately, a lot of people cannot. They cannot switch on the game face, switch it off. You and I can smile and go serious straight off. We do it all the time, right? Under pressure, we can do it too. I saw a senior Yoshinkan instructor once do a demonstration. he made a mistake and he was smiling for the rest of the demonstration. I'm not going to mention names. He was a 6th Dan back then. And my brother said to me, that was the first demonstration he ever saw where a high-ranking teacher just smiled right the way through. And that was appalling. His technique was fine, but there was no heart to it.
Yeah.
So, you know, what are we trying to breed in the dojo? Where is that Yoshin and how do you build it? And I say to people, hey, you want to smile? That's fine. Smile on the inside. Don't, you know, and I'll go one better. Takino Sensei once said to me, he said, if everyone in the dojo is afraid of the teachers, that's bad. If no one in the dojo is afraid of the teachers, that's bad.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that balance.
Yeah. Most of my students are scared of me, but they trust me, so it's okay. Yeah. Okay, perfect. And another question from that then, what do you say to the teacher if you go to the dojo and you, like, for example, you're teaching someone's dojo and the atmosphere is totally rubbish? How do you handle that? Do you take the teacher aside and tell them?
Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah. What do you tell a teacher if you go to their dojo and teach and the students are really being, you know, not serious and stuff and playing around a little bit? What do you think about that? Would you think you should tell the teacher that?
Well, it depends on my relationship with the teacher.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
good.
I cannot just offer my opinion to someone who I don't know who has no affiliation to me. But if he's one of the people in my organization, I would tell him straight off. But
if they were in your organization, they wouldn't do it, Joe. If they were in your organization, they wouldn't do it. So, but again, it's a little bit, and it comes back to, we've talked about this ad nauseum, and I'm known for whining about this, that, you know, I mean, when we've gone to Czech Republic, and I'm not tooting my own horn, I'm not, but for example, I taught in Ukraine 6 months after you were there, and that's why they took me to some really good restaurants. Thank you, Vadim. I had a wonderful time. But the thing is, people, there was a couple, I don't remember their names, but you probably would know them if you saw a picture of them. They did a 9-hour train ride to come to the seminar. And then you and I have done seminars where people won't drive 20 minutes. And some teachers actually tell their students, you can't go to other people's seminars. I mean,
Rob, you're grinding an axe here. I'm not going to jump in.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
No, go for it.
It's just like when you talked about people, the same people that train with the same partners every class and stuff like that. It's just not right. And I just think, you know, people that won't drive 20 minutes to see a top level teacher, they're just not serious about martial arts. It's a what do they call it? Something development, if you know what I mean. Professional development, that's what they call it. All right.
What do you talk about people who train with the same partner all the time, yeah? From my experience, if in a dojo you have 1 or 2 good ukes, and I'm talking good, right? You have a good dojo. If you have half a dozen to 10 good ukes, you have a really good dojo. And you cannot, if you don't have a number of good ukes, then the top teacher cannot get better. Not just one, a number of good ukes. And everyone hear me out here. Because you need different ukes of different body sizes, different shapes, different ways of resisting, different ways of thinking to challenge you. And I don't mean that physically challenging you all the time, but, you know, mechanically challenging you. If you can do that, you start to excel. But, you know, you and I have been to places where there aren't any good ukes. We've had to share ukes. And you cannot get better unless they're good ukes. And if you've got one good uke in your dojo, that amounts for nothing because you're training or you're learning off that same mechanical body mindset. What's the point? And if you're a teacher and you come to a seminar and you train with your own students, shame on you. I mean, if you have an injury, you know, okay, I understand. But most of the time, what's the point? You come to a seminar, you have carte blanche, you have so many people, higher levels, etc. Go train with other people. I do that, or at least I used to when I had 2 good arms. But you know, if you don't do that, you're not challenging yourself, and like you said, there's no professional development.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
that's my axe to grind.
Yep.
Yep.
No, that's fine. That's fine. We can bitch to each other. And we have here we go. This is I kind of guess a really serious kind of question, and it says it's for Thambu Sensei, and it says here. Okay, I don't want to yell at you, so I'm not gonna. If I don't have my glasses on, so any mistakes I make is because it's your fault, because you don't want me to look closely. But anyways, this question says, a certain individual from your dojo who wishes to remain anonymous for numerous reasons has stated that he or she has noticed when classes were recurring pre-COVID that you tend to execute certain techniques in a softer fashion on certain individuals as opposed to others. This one particular student feels that he is unfairly picked on and feels like the designated Heidelberg crash test dummy, and that certain techniques are executed in a manner that is much harder and forceful, as if you specifically wish to cause intentional injury or damage to this one student. They further claim that you have already done much damage to his or her body already. The question is this true? And if not, why would this particular student feel that way? Also, allegedly, you also admitted to tell this particular student that a question was going to be asked during his or her lead-on test around 2 minutes before you informed him or her that this was going to be the case. How do you plead?
Guilty. And
Okay,
this person, male or female, I have no recollection. I have no idea who you're talking about.
I have no idea either.
Deserved being thrown hard, being locked hard, and everyone will agree with that. And Rob, sorry, did I say Rob Rosa? I didn't mean to say Rob Rosa.
No, I don't have my glasses, so I can't read who it's from.
In my dojo, if you're doing a Dan test, you're asked the question at the end of the test. So I don't want to read an essay that's cut and paste from Google. You have to answer a test. Now, if you're going to do a test, isn't it up to you to find out everything that's required?
I don't know. I don't ask.
I don't know. If for someone working in the security industry, just saying, Rob, if you were, you'd want to have all the facts before you rock up to a gig. So, Rob Rosa, I'm guilty, but you deserve it. Next question.
When I was in Australia, he gave me whiskey. You never give me whiskey, so shut up. How about that? I don't think. Okay, next one. Little bit serious. It was a long question. I kind of paraphrased it a little bit, but basically, I'd like to know, I also know a little bit because I've been to your dojo, but your views on females in Aikido. For example, you interviewed all the men individually and you've interviewed the women in groups. And I thought the women were great. I thought Falori, Enrique, and Alia were fantastic. And this person says she's worried that as a female, she wonders if she can keep a dojo going because she's female due to kind of perceived views or media. And then that comes up to Dawn, also in England, who wrote basically, you know, why are there so few women instructors? Why do you think?
Okay.
And this comes down to the whole thing about, and I don't mean this badly, but you know, you're a little bit darker than me, but I'm white. You know, you're Indian by heritage. We both suffered the racist bullshit crap in Japan and stuff like that. And you've heard me say, if I had $1 for every time I was told I'd never understand martial arts because I was white, I'd have a dojo with a spa downstairs and a swimming pool upstairs and a bar. So kind of what do you think? Because I think the females in your dojo are fantastic. And I've also seen other females that sometimes they will you know, tell you that they're high ranking, but if you throw them hard, and I'll tell the story if you don't mind before we get into it. Once when I was teaching at the Thambu Dojo, I got yelled at by one of the other women teachers because I did a technique, and then she said that I didn't throw her hard, so I was disrespecting her and not giving her the respect necessary. And then the next time we were in the class, I threw her and I almost killed her, and then I got yelled at because I was throwing her too hard. And I wasn't respecting her as someone maybe not as strong as I was and this and that. So I told her to make up her mind what she wanted. So there, what do you think? And I know it's a bit of a hard question, but I think—
all right, let's you know, it's an interesting question, and let's pick it apart, okay? Firstly, there's a part of the question that's flawed. about the part about all the women I interviewed were in a panel. Yes, they were, but so were a lot of guys. I interviewed 2 8th dans and a 7th dan on one panel, being you, Jacques, and Dave. Okay?
Yeah.
I've interviewed John Felix, Nathan, and Rodney in another panel, 3 teachers on another panel. So whoever asked that question, you need to get your facts right. Now, when setting up these interviews, you're only as good as your last interview. So I have to think about what they have done in Aikido and what they have done with the Aikido outside the dojo. So it's always topically based, not gender based, not racially based. If you want to look at it that way, that's your fucking issue, not mine, right? And sorry for swearing, but this is very close to my heart. It's topically based. Women in martial arts, I put 3 women together. I know the people I'm interviewing, and I know by bringing them together, I can get the best out of them for that topic. Now, most of the people who are listening in are Yoshinkan system practitioners. I've had 2 great people, Paul Kale and David Dangerfield, who I interviewed, and their shows didn't get as big an audience because they're not so well known in the Yoshinkan world. I have a female instructor who I have a friend who teaches Kyokushin karate. She's fantastic. I wanted to interview her, but being Kyokushin, I won't get the viewers. So there's lots of things. And how do I get the best out of someone? You're only as good as your last interview. So all these things have to be taken into account. It's like running a dojo. Okay? Now, how I feel about women in martial arts, I don't. I don't. The minute I feel special about women in martial arts, I'm wrong. I don't treat women differently. Someone walks in the dojo, I don't see black, white. Someone steps on the mat, I don't see male, female, whatever. I see their abilities and capabilities, and that's the way I treat them. Now, I have had I've been fortunate to have a lot of fantastic women join the dojo right from day one. And they've had the opportunities that they've deserved. They didn't get the opportunity because they were female. They didn't lose out on the opportunity because they were female. They got the opportunity because of they were good. And they were willing to work in the dojo. They're willing to teach. That's all that counts. So whoever you are, and Dawn as well, you want to run a dojo, don't play into this thing. Don't play into this thing of black, white, whatever. People can play into that. Don't you do that. You set up a dojo, you treat everyone equally, and bang, you'll be good. What's more important than all this, superficial stuff? I'm not putting it down, by the way. It's a real thing, but I'm saying don't buy into it. It's how you look at it and how you express your passion. That's more important than how people look at you. In Malaysia, unfortunately, most of the time, if you're Chinese, most of these students are Chinese. If you're Malay, most of these students are Malay. If you're Indian, most of these students are Indian. Ramlan Sensei is one of the few people who has a very diverse dojo because he doesn't buy into that. And when people have said to me in Malaysia, not to my face, but Joe's good at Aikido for an Indian. I can let that upset me.
Well, I'm glad you said Indian because I felt a little bit bad when I said Indian because I mean
I can get upset about that, or I can think, hey, that's on them. That's on them.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do what I can, the best I can. In my dojo, we don't practice affirmative action. We do not. I don't believe in that. Because if I treat women special, then I'm wrong. I treat everyone the same. And you know what? That's not special. That should be the norm. It's other dojos that aren't giving everyone a chance. They substandard. So get it right. When someone walks in the dojo, see a person. Don't see a gender. Don't see a race. And then people stop looking at you as a gender or a race. They look at you as a teacher, regardless. Rant over.
Okay, perfect. That's a great answer. A really interesting question from someone in Canada on the East Coast. And it says, his question is there something that you find still challenging or difficult in your training or in your teaching? Technical, philosophical, or something else? At your level, what remains to be tough?
Everything.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
You know, yeah, that's a really good question. I saw a clip of Billy Joel once, and he was talking to a group of music students, and he talked about his music, and he expressed himself through his music. He spoke about the various stages of his career, and in each of them, he expressed himself through his music. That's my challenge now. I'd like to express myself through my art. Kancho Sensei used to do that. He used to talk about something, then he'd visualize it. I've seen a lot of other top teachers talk about stuff, but not do that. And I think someone who's a master in what they do, or who've mastered what they do, they can show you what they're talking about. That's my challenge. I'd like to be able to express myself through my art. What's there left to learn at my level? Everything. Most of all,
humble bastard.
No,
Don't be
most
so
of
humble.
all,
Come on now.
No, seriously. Hey,
I know.
I'll tell you a
I'm just
secret.
teasing.
I'll tell you a secret. My latest hobby with COVID, Melbourne's in lockdown, is I've been making pallet furniture. Okay? And you know what? I've learned patience. The timbers that come are not straight. You have to work with bent timber. You have to work with timber of different sizes. And it's interesting because you have to model things. You can't just start from scratch. You've got to accept what it is. You have to accept the flaws in the timber and work with it. Mustard Sensei is rolling his eyes and looking at the clock, but fuck him. So, you know, it's the same as being a teacher. You cannot expect a perfect student. You got to take what you got and work with it.
God,
right?
People are making swords, and Mick Mercer Sensei and Preston made a canoe, and you're making pallet furniture?
Hey, yeah.
All right.
I'm going to call it
okay.
palatable designs.
I like that. I think that's fantastic. Actually, you showed me pictures. This stuff looks fantastic to me. All right. Matthew from Montreal asked a good question, but I don't want you to answer the question because it says, can you explain the center line? Paye Sensei was talking about it. You were talking about it. How can you improve it, either technical or theoretical? But I don't want you to answer that question because what I want you to do is tell him and tell everyone, explain about what is Aikido TV and how can people join Aikido TV so they can learn how to improve their center line technically or philosophical, and send you $8 or $9, whatever it is. Because I think it's a great idea. And you should have 100,000 people send you $8.
All right.
I'm not sending you $8 though because I know all the answers. So.
Thank you for the opening, Matthew. That's a good question, and I'll answer that question on the mat or on Aikido TV. So thank you for that, everyone. You know, join us, don't join us, whatever. It's cool, but have a look if you can. It's the way we can keep these interviews going. Aikido TV online is, yeah, I never believed in all this online bullshit, but now we all have to remodel ourselves. We all have to reshape who we are, what we are. We have to change our thinking, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to reach out there and help people. You cannot learn from stuff online, but you can add to your learning. You can change the way you think. You can help remember stuff. You can help, solidify what you know. You cannot just learn from online TV. I shouldn't say that, it's bad advertising. But the thing that we need to remember with Aikido TV is that, I've lost my train of thought here, but it'll come back. What we're trying to do is reach out to people who don't have access to teachers all the time. And have a look at it, drop me a line, admin@aikidoshudokan.com. We'll send you a free voucher for whatever. And yeah, I'm serious. We'll send you a free voucher for 2 or 3 months, and you can watch it for free.
You're gonna send me a free voucher for 2 or 3 months?
Now, piece off. One more thing we're going to do is I want to, in a way, sorry, it's a long story, but there's a lot of people changing the history of Yoshinkan Aikido to suit their agenda, to suit their current narrative. So what I want to do is run a series called The Pioneers. I want to talk to about people like Nagano Sensei in Germany, Kimira Sensei in Canada, Kushida Sensei in North America, all these pioneers, Thambu Sensei in Malaysia. And unfortunately, I need to put it on Aiki TV. So if you're interested and you want to watch it, you're going to have to join Aiki TV. It'll be hashtag Keep the Flame Alive, but it'll be a special segment called The Pioneers, and it'll be shunted into Aiki TV. So people, the only way to keep these interviews going is by subscribing to Aiki TV. We need it. Unfortunately, I'd love to do this without having that little sword hanging over your heads, but we need to do that. So please support us. Thank you, Rob.
No, my pleasure. Again, no, I think it's perfect. And I just think it'd be great if it was a big success for you, because that goes into our friend Noveen's question from Malaysia. I think it's quite a good question, because I've seen some stuff, Zoom stuff, and it actually, frankly, it's rubbish. But and some of it's pretty good. And I know all your stuff is good, because I'm a fan. I'm biased, I admit it. But he says, his question is, with the pandemic and a lot of classes being conducted virtually or online, do you think that teaching
I'm glad I'm not the only one who has a problem with that word, efficacy,
I'm pulling the Trump here. Yeah, what do you think? So efficacy, you think it's improved or dropped, or do you think it really matters if people are still trying to move around? Efficacy, there you go, efficacy. I'm gonna have to write it out a lot, but what do you, I mean, I think if a high level person does a high level video, it's gotta help everyone, myself. But what do you think? Especially since you're gonna be doing it on Aiki TV. I mean,
I think first thing comes in, you gotta ask the why as the teacher. Why are you doing it? If it's just to make money, then that's fine. If it's just to get people to sweat, that's fine. If it's to try and impart some knowledge and teaching skills, then that's another thing. That's what I try and do. I try and impart some teaching skills. And the thing is, I'm finding it hard because it's not my normal mode of teaching. I have to almost reinvent the way I teach. So it's a challenge. And I'm showing things and saying things. Enrique has said that I've done stuff on my Aiki in-depth classes, which I think is coming on YouTube. It's on YouTube, whatever. She says that she hasn't seen it. She hasn't, 15, 16 years, she hasn't seen or hear me say those things. It pushes you. It pushes you, and it can push you into a corner, or it can push you to grow as a teacher. And hopefully for me, it's pushing me to grow and explain things differently, try new modes of engaging with people.
Yeah.
You know, here again, Takano Sensei, you know, brilliant man that he was, or is, sorry. He once said to me, Aikido is about creating a contact and keeping that contact. And it's really hard in an online situation to create that contact and keep that contact. And that's my job.
We're having that struggle a bit in the dojo now, because we have the dojo going, but we have government guidelines. So it's like trying to do judo from 6 feet apart. Really kind of doesn't work, but we're working the best with it, and people are on the mat. That's good. Cool. All right. Nice, interesting question too, because I don't have much experience with other forms of Aikido, but you spent considerable time with Narayama Sensei. What can you tell us about him, training with him or whatever? And Vaughn Ryan wants to know, why the hell haven't you visited Ireland?
Okay, all right.
I told him privately, I said, because you can't drink Guinness for shit. You're a cheap drunk. That's what I said. So.
Well, Ryan, I look forward to meeting you. We're friends on Facebook, and you know we banter on Facebook. Why haven't I visited Ireland? I've never had an invite. So there you go. But first time I met Narayama Sensei was in 1984. He'd come to Melbourne and he was teaching. And Pete Clayton, my good friend who doesn't do Aikido anymore, approached me and said, you know, my teacher's coming down. Would you like him? Would you be prepared to host him in the dojo for a night? And I said, yeah, sure, but I'm got a small dojo, 1984. I said, I can't afford to pay him, but you know, I'll look after dinner and everything afterwards. Fine. So he brought Narayama Sensei to my dojo, and I had tatami, the stuff that you got, Rob, just straw tatami, straight on concrete. First time I met Narayama Sensei, he threw me 5 times. I hit my head 3 times. And I got up and I saw 3 of him. I didn't know who to hit. So, and he had me sold. The next day was a class at their dojo. I stopped my classes. I went to his class. And he used me as uke. And then every time he'd come to Melbourne or to Australia, I'd go to his seminars and he'd use me as uke. He came to a training camp once. And he had 20 Japanese with him, and he just used me again and again and again. And it was brilliant. I would take uke for that man anytime. I've been to, here's the class of the men, okay? The class of Narayama Sensei. I've been to seminars with Saito Sensei, Saito Morihiro Sensei, Takeda Yoshinobu Sensei, lots of teachers, and they're all been good. But a lot of them point score when you come from another Aikido school. They put you down to elevate their system. And I found this a lot of the times where you get put down because you're from a different school. Okay? Narayama Sensei never did that, not once. He would teach a technique. He'd call me aside. He said, Joe, come here. He said, in Yoshinkan, you do it like this. We do it like this. Aikikai like this. And he'd walk away. He never said, choose. He just educated me. And he said, you know, he was showing me the difference and he gave me what I needed. He didn't try and convert me, nothing. And when I teach seminars, I emulate that man. I emulate his teaching. I emulate his attitude to people who come from other schools. I never put anyone down from another style. I give them everything I can and I try and show them the difference. And, you know, if I wasn't doing Yoshinkan Aikido, when I met Narayama Sensei, I'd be doing Shodokan or Tomikiryu. You know,
high praise indeed.
I cannot speak highly enough of this man. Just I've learned so much from him. And while we're on it, another teacher I've learned a lot from is Obata Sensei. And I cannot do this interview without praising that man. He's phenomenal. Rob, you should meet him. Obata Sensei,
I'd like to meet him.
You ask him one question, he's answered your next 3. Brilliant. But you don't ask him that on the mats. On the mats, you just got to stand up and be punished. And you take it, he'll answer any question you want anytime. You know,
Yeah.
And it's because of this kind of people that I do martial arts. And if you talk about who's my biggest influence, whatever, hey, I want to be like them. They are the next level. To some extent, I wish the teachers in the Yoshinkan had that kind of motivational charisma about them. They didn't. I'm sorry, but they didn't. They were no, I'm talking about the old Hombu Dojo, yeah? They were like salarymen. They were like salarymen. And then Rob can explain what salaryman means. And lastly, Von Ryan, you asked me about Shiai or competition. Yes. I did Tomikiryu Shiai, and my first opponent was Ian Box, who was Narayama Sensei's Uchideshi at that time. He just wiped the mat with me. He just killed me, right?
Cool.
And, you know, talking about competition, it didn't gel in me that I had to resist because you're so used to giving up. My second round, I did a little better with someone else. But if you want to do competition, you have to train for competition. There's no way not. You have to know the rules. I didn't even know the rules, man. I dropped the knife and was like, you know, that's a chewy. And I was like, what's going on? Oh, someone from the sidelines, don't drop the knife. So, okay. You know, so it was pretty amateurish, but I learned if you want to do competition, you have to train for competition. You got to know the rules. Sorry, Robert.
Cool. No, perfect. I've heard you talk about him. I've never met him. I would like to meet him. I'd like to meet anyone that you talk highly of. I'd love to meet Obata Sensei. I imagine we could tell some stories.
Oh, definitely.
Brian James from the UK wants to know, I mean, I know the answer, but maybe because, you know, Shudokan is pretty well known and stuff. And because of Shudokan in the UK, that's how we kind of met. That's how through you, I met the guy. He wants to know if you knew Stratton Sensei and did you ever get to train with him? And I think you did a seminar with him once, you told me. That's all.
Okay, I'd gone to Japan in 1989. This is the first time I met Rob. And I was in Japan for 6 months. At the end of that stay, I went to visit my sister in London. And then I went down south to Devon and I spent maybe 4 days to a week with Stratton Sensei. So yes, I did meet him. I trained in his classes. I did a seminar, or I think we did some demonstrations at a university that John Cullen was going to. Yeah, I did meet him and I did train with him, etc.
Cool. All right. We're getting, I don't know how long ago, I could talk forever with you, I think. You know that stuff. The crux of the matter here, what's that?
I can't, I'm bored already.
You're a bastard. Really good question from our brother, Chris Johnson. He thinks, do you sacrifice Budo if you have business success? Have you found a balance?
That's a really interesting question, Chris. And
because that's going to go to I think that'll lead into the real crux of what we're going to talk about from our friend Brian in England and from Yazurka and from another guy in the Czech class with this, because we're going to talk about the effectiveness of Aikido. Yeah, okay, I'm just letting you know where we're going. I don't know how long we're going to go. I could go for another hour. I have to go to bed.
We don't have another hour. I've got pallet furniture to build. So, Chris, I think that yes, you do end up sacrificing Budo if you want to run a full-time dojo and I wouldn't say commercial. Commercial has bad implications. A viable business, yes, you do. Budo will suffer, but you get to a point where you can balance the two. But first, you have to sacrifice things. Then after that, you can balance the two. Look at the Yoshinkan. Because of the sponsorship, because of their business model, they were able to have uchideshi. They were able to run classes 6 hours a day, right? Not 10, 6. Okay.
I don't know. Wow.
We you know, if I don't have a business model, then I have to go out and work during the day and only have classes in the evenings. How good are my uchideshi going to be? If I had classes every day, wow, you know, pay the uchideshi, they train full-time, they train other people, they teach, I monitor them. That's a good business model. And then Budo can really flourish. So you have to go through that, sell Budo a little bit or compromise on your values, get the balance, and then you can push it. Just don't forget your objective and don't sell out.
Cool. Very good. All right. The real crux. There's some other ones here. Kampapa ones here. Dan Holloway asked an interesting question.
Dan don't put cucumber in the curry. No, never.
No,
never.
He says he's going to patent it, and I would eat. Dan, I would eat cucumber curry. The efficacy might be a little bit off, but I'd eat it anyways. All right. He says, and it's an interesting question maybe too, but if you could repeat history, would you still pursue Yoshinkan Aikido? Or has there been any other martial art that you would like to have dedicated yourself other than Aikido? Difficult question. I don't know if I could ever answer that. So I'm glad he asked you and not me. But
then I would always, and if I could repeat history, I would do the same. The only difference would be I would have stayed in the Yoshinkan for a few years. Maybe that would have jaded me and quit, but you know, that would be the only difference I would have made, is I would have stayed my circumstances over the, in the 80s just didn't permit that.
I'll tell you something honestly, Joe, if I can interject here.
Yep.
Just like myself, you would have been a perfect uchideshi. And I think I would have been a good uchideshi too, but I'm really glad I didn't because I have what I have now because of that, to be honest.
Yep. So, and the other thing is, would I have done any other martial art? I think a curse is that I never did judo. I would have loved to have done judo. Yeah. I would have loved to have done judo. Yeah. But,
okay.
Sorry, this is to digress a little bit, but I cannot do a martial art that doesn't have the reiho in it. So I look at modern day judo and I think, nah, the competition doesn't do anything for me. I like traditional judo, don't like the competition. You show me a martial art where people don't bow properly, and I don't want to watch it. I don't care how good they are, and call me stupid, call me etiquette Nazi, whatever you want. But if people don't bow, I'm looking, but I'm not watching. So it's how you conduct yourself, your attitude, and traditional martial arts gives you that. Yoshinkan Aikido gave me what I am, who I am.
Cool. Great.
And forever grateful.
Yeah, really good. Okay, now the nasty one here too. This is a good one from our friend Brian and also from our friend from Czech. Basically, it comes out to, I'm not going to ask, what's your view on practicing Aikido as a martial art? Did your view change as you gained experience? We all know about your door experiences, so that and stuff. And Brian says, and I quite like the way Brian put it. I'm paraphrasing it here too, but Aikido is basically has a really good reputation as a pretend martial art, because of the compliant uke and weak ukemi, and and if you see a lot of people, sometimes they're really strong in their punches and this and that, and they're really weak in their reiho. Or when we see people in Aikido, they have very good form and no power. We see lots of people nothing but arm power, and my big thing with Aikido, I always say Yoshinkan is strong strike, strong form, strong spirit, strong technique, and I can hit hard, and I know you can hit hard too, but a lot of Aikido people can't. And I think, what do you think about atemi in martial arts? Is Aikido a viable martial art? I think so, but the truth is, I'm not sure because I've never hit anyone in anger.
So what are the two fucking questions again after all that?
What do you think about Aikido as a practical martial art?
Okay, and what was the second question? That was it.
And have you changed? Has your view changed as you gained experience? You can't deny the top guys. When they throw you hard and you hit your head, you know it. And if you did it, some of the techniques I've seen you do, if you did some on someone who couldn't take uke, you'd probably kill him.
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I believe Aikido is an effective and viable martial art. Definitely. What's flawed is the people who train it. And Nathan hit it spot on. When we advertise, we say Aikido, peace, love, mung beans. So who comes into the dojo? Not people who've got ears and noses like this, but normal human beings. Normal human beings don't want to fight, and you want to turn them into fighters. So it's not the system. It's not the system. It's Aikido is a viable martial art. Take it from me. Look at me. I'm 58 kilos with my hair wet. And when I've done it, it's worked. Not all the time, but I made it work. The times I didn't make it work was on me, not the art. Yeah. And I'm not just being an apologist for the art. It's the truth, right? But if you look at Aikido as a series of locks and throws, it ain't gonna work. If you look at Aikido as how you move, how you use your body, how you think, how you speak, it works. And the reason I say that is how your bearing, how you present yourself is combined with how you speak, is combined with what you can back that up with. For example, you take someone out and they're in pain, you've got them in a lock, they're in pain, and believe me, you need pain compliance sometimes. Without that pain, people don't feel, you've got their balance, You're moving them, but they don't feel it. So they think they're still in control. You need to hurt them to let them know you're in control. But if you're taking someone out a dark alley and you're yelling and screaming at them, they're going to freak. They're going to think, what is he going to do to me out that dark alley? So you just, you got the strong technique and the soft voice. It's okay, man. Come with me. Come with me. It's okay. It's okay. So you're placating them while controlling them. So your mind, your words, your body all have to act together. It has to come together. Same in the dojo, mind, body, spirit. Okay, and I'm not just spouting cliches. It's the bloody truth. Yeah. Now, have what I think. Second part of your question, what was that? That's really important.
The second part is hang on here. Here we go. Has it changed? Oh shit! Here we go. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Has your view changed as you gained experience? That type of thing.
Yes. And my view has changed on what is practical. I'm 60 next year, and I don't want to be talking about what's practical anymore. That's for my other instructors to deal with. Yeah. For me, what's practical now is keeping the dojo alive post-COVID, educating my instructors. That's my reality. My reality is no longer standing on the door of a nightclub or fronting up to people who want to take me on. That's not my reality anymore. That's not practical for me anymore. So what I deem as being practical has changed. But the idea of what Aikido is and what Budo is has not changed.
Perfect.
I think you should coin that one.
I forgot what you said already. I wasn't listening. All right. One general question, a couple of people asked the same type of thing because we're both dinosaurs. I'm more of a dinosaur than you. But what do you think? Because we do lots of seminars together, which I sort of thoroughly enjoy. And it's maybe an interesting question, but what is missing today that was there when we were coming up through the ranks? Interpret it kind of how you like, but what do you think was missing? And
aside from the time you were missing on the mats in Malaysia.
Yeah, that was your fault. Telling Rahman to take me to dodgy Chinese food restaurants and stuff like that, where the cats were missing legs. But never mind that. But because, for example, and some people ask me, if you ask me this type of same question now, I would say that when I was coming up in Kimira Sensei's dojo, if you trained 3 times a week, you weren't serious. I mean, don't get me wrong, you could train, enjoy the training and stuff. And we both know, dojos and people where people go and train for an hour and a half, then they go to the pub and drink for 4 hours and talk about Aikido. But, if someone would ask me what was missing, I would say almost more like the dedication where, and I'm a bit dinosaur too, but I mean, I would turn down jobs if it wouldn't let me train. That's how stupid I was. Yeah. I mean, that's why I was a martial arts bum. But what do you think? Because we can't, I mean, I don't want to be like the 4 Monty Python guys sitting around, where, I had to walk 6 miles to school uphill both ways and stuff like that. But
it's on us, yeah. It's on us, because as much as we want to say people now are lazy, they don't train as hard and all that, they say babies don't know anything. They only know what we taught them. They only know what we let them get away with. People coming to the dojo, they don't know what Aikido is. It's what we've taught them. So if they don't know how to bow properly, if they don't know how to conduct themselves properly, it's our fault. Right? And if things have changed, it's because we have changed it. How many seminars did you attend when you were training under Kimira Sensei?
Oh, really good question. Honestly, only one outside of, we went to an Aikikai seminar once because the guy used to be, you might remember him, his name was Tanaka. He used to be in the Yoshinkan, then he went to Aikikai. He was in Toronto. That was the only seminar I went with Kimira Sensei.
Sorry, go on.
And then after that, it was only kind of we used to go to Ann Arbor, Michigan for seminars with Kushida Sensei, and that was it.
Training my uncle's dojo 7-8 years, we had guest instructors, but then I never attended a seminar. How do you get better? You went to Japan, same as you did. Things have changed now. People don't go to the teachers come to them. We've got seminars, right? And
Yeah.
I think it's incumbent upon us to give them not just the technique, but the essence of what we had when we went to Japan in the seminars. And then going back to that part about laughing and giggling, I don't think we're doing people any favors by being too nice.
Yeah. Okay.
And
yeah.
things that I think what's changed is the way it's presented, and that's on the teachers, not on the students. It's my fault that I become soft. My uncle never had to, make money to run the dojo. If there were 2 students, he was happy. I don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
I've got to pay bills. I've got to pay mortgages. I need people. So going back to what Chris Johnson asked, if I can get past that hump where I'm secure, then I can start having a group of uchideshi or special classes where I can really drill people and build that core. It's a catch-22 thing. Yeah, but I don't think, I think often we blame people today and they're being lazy. No, it's us. It's us. It's our fault that the students are what they are.
Okay. Almost a little bit, not lastly, of course, but you always say, you left the Yoshinkan. I know why you left. Nobody has to know why you left. And it was to the Yoshinkan's detriment that you left, but they deserved it as far as I'm concerned. But you had a choice. You could have done whatever you want. You could have joined Joe Smith's World Soke Kobudo Martial Arts wonderful seminar association and got a 15th dan and wear a purple and green and yellow striped belt with stars and stuff like that. And you basically had a choice, realistically, and not a choice, I guess, but, in terms of when things kind of went a little bit mixed up with Yoshinkan, because Takeno Sensei, he had influenced you just like me, but he's still Yoshinkan. But Chida started the Renshinkan, and I can't remember the association Inoue Sensei had. Why did you go with Inoue Sensei? Great choice, don't get me wrong. He was a perfect gentleman. But
I've been asked this question before, but never publicly. And after I left the Yoshinkan, and circumstances were such that I just could not give 100% to the Yoshinkan because of the leadership at that time. Hence, I left. And the choices were go on my own, go under Inoue Sensei, or go under Chida Sensei. The reason I didn't go on my own was because I didn't want to. It was a non-question. So it was Chida Sensei or Inoue Sensei. And the reason, and this is quite difficult here, the reason I picked Inoue Sensei is because I respected Chida Sensei immensely. And I knew that at some point he would say to me, if I went under him, no, Joe, you're doing too much Goshinjutsu, too much Jiwaza, you have to do this. And then there would be a problem. But Inoue Sensei was more accepting of varied styles and different takes. And I knew that I could go under Inoue Sensei, pursue my path, and not upset Chida Sensei. But if I went under Chida Sensei at some point, there would be a problem. And I mean that with all due respect.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I knew a karate teacher.
Sorry, Rob. It'll make sense to you and me, but it won't make sense to other people.
Yeah.
You understand immediately.
Yeah.
And so will some people, but others won't. And here it is, guys. It's about knowing your teacher. It's about knowing, not just knowing yourself, but knowing your teacher and then making choices where you have to make choices.
Yeah, I knew a karate teacher. He went under, there's so many Shotokan groups because of it's been around and everybody wants to be the top of the pyramid. But he told me he joined up with Kanazawa Sensei's organization because under Kanazawa he had freedom. which is in Japanese Budo, it's a bit bizarre thinking you have freedom, but it just goes to show that the measure of Inoue Sensei, that he would let you do what you want because he trusts you to do what was best if you were representing him. And but that's also why he was just such a special man.
I mean, by having said what I said, it's no disrespect to Inoue Sensei. It was, you know, I learned so much from that man.
Yeah.
You know, in both on and off the mat. It was just, yeah.
Yeah, well, goes back to what I said. All right. I think we have to give you the last word. I have other questions and stuff, I think. But I'm not sure. I can keep going.
I want to say two things. One, going back to your questions, it is very rare that I do a demonstration in Melbourne without a female uke. Very rare, almost unheard of. There'd always be a female uke as one of my ukes, always, because they're good enough. When I travel overseas, I hardly use female ukes. You know, in the UK, Sarah used to be my uke sometimes, Abby. But aside from that, you know, I think women need to stand up and come forward. Otherwise, don't complain about what's not being done. So, you know, yeah, you can say to me, hey, you've interviewed women in groups, but men individually. Firstly, that question is flawed, but what have I done for women? What have you done for women? That's the question. Okay? And when I'm talking about women, not just about women, but minorities. What have you done? Ask yourself that question before you ask me about my ethics when it comes to minorities. That's the first thing. Second, when we teach seminars, I'll leave that one.
No, I think it's a good question because we finished up because someone asked, not me, but I had a couple guys from the UK come to my dojo for training, and then when they went back to the UK, someone said to them, and I think it's a relevant question because someone asked them, does Mustard Sensei, is he different in his own dojo than when he does seminars? And they said, and they actually put it quite, I guess, diplomatically. They said he has a seminar face and a dojo face, and I think that's true. And I think a little bit for yourself, you do that. You're more dojo face all the time, even when you're doing seminars. You only laugh at my jokes occasionally.
Because I never heard that before.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and you've heard all the stories too. But the perfect thing, the truth is that I think if you did a seminar where you showed them the real Joe Thambu, and hopefully myself too, you would probably scare the living shit out of everyone.
Right. So be it. But
yeah.
What I was going to say about seminars, right? And this is difficult, but I feel now, you know, seminars become a money-making machine. It becomes like almost like a churn-out factory. I go into a place on a Friday night, teach Friday, Saturday there's a party, Sunday everyone leaves, done. Whereas when we were in Japan, we mingled with the teachers. We rubbed shoulders with the teachers. We got to ask questions outside, in the izakaya, in the kitchen in Kogane. That's when you got to know them, right?
Yeah.
We don't have that anymore because seminars are so rushed now. Everyone's on the circuit, we're rushed. And students don't meet us. They don't get to talk to us like in the old days. And I miss that. And from now on, when we do seminars, I want to mingle with the students more. I want to talk to them off the mat. Don't ask me questions on the mat. Just accept what I say on the mat. Off the mat, hey, go for it. But asking me questions is not, and it is not you telling me your Aikido experiences. There is nothing you can tell either of us that we haven't figured out. You know, Mustard Sensei saved me once. He told someone, you know, go in the other car. And because he said, I've had enough of him telling you what Aikido should be. You know, your chance to ask questions, I want that socialization to come back to seminars. It's so important. We're missing out on that. We're churning it too fast.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I think depends. I'll blow some smoke because I like him, but I think Nick Mills is quite good at that. He's very good at organizing chances for people to get to know us. And sometimes, and you know me well enough, there's a certain way to act on the mat, and I've told people, I mean, they can call me whatever they want, but on the mat, they should call me Sensei, because that means they're going to do what I say. Off the mat, I don't care what people call me, Rob or whatever. But most of the people that are serious will call us Sensei all the time. I've never called any of my teachers by their first name. I think I remember Takano and Chida Sensei's first names, but yeah, I would never. And I kind of, that's the part I like. And you might remember this, I don't know, because you're getting a bit older, I'm going to be 60 soon. Because I remember we've talked about it, we've done seminars where I'm walking around thinking, this is just, I'm wasting my time, no one's listening, I'm getting annoyed. And I remember once I said to you, I fucking hate doing these seminars. And you looked at me and said, you're a lying bastard, you love doing this, you love hanging out with people and trying to help them and this and that stuff. And I would say the same for you. And I enjoy talking to people just as much as I like helping them with their Aikido.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost say I prefer that
except
more.
The ones who got hearing aids who can't hear you.
What's that?
Unless it's the old people with hearing aids who can't hear you. That's the inside joke.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the issues we have with socializing is people telling us things. Yeah. I was 18. I got my driver's license, and I took driving my uncle Thambu Sensei to a couple of meetings with people, right? And I drive him. We'd sit down, and they'd go, "Who's this?" And he'd say, "He's my nephew. He trains." And they'd say, "How old is he?" And it was like I was not there, right? How old is he? And my uncle would say 16, and I'd shut up. I mean, I was a driver's license. I was 18. He said 16. Wasn't my place to say no. I'm 18. You just shut up. Yeah. He ordered something. I'll have what he has. He has a beer. I'll have that. It's like you got to know when to shut up and listen. Seriously.
Yeah.
Then socializing with top teachers like Robert Mustard and stuff becomes a learning experience. But if you're going to sit down with him and tell him about your life history and your Aikido experience, you're wasting your time.
Yeah. So, well, we both had that.
Yeah. So this is my another vent, and it's part of the reiho. It's part of the etiquette. I mean, you don't teach your grandmother how to suck eggs. Simple. So when you're with your grandmother, sit down, listen, and learn. Yeah. And hopefully, we're not as boring as some of our teachers were. I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, touche. Yeah, that's a good way to end. Yeah. Anyways.
Okay.
This has been great.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Martial arts cliche, right? Respect is earned, not expected.
Yes.
Respect should be earned, not expected.
Absolutely. But yes, but there's a way, I mean, it's cliche too, but I mean, I think it's true, but you can't expect that. I think it's, you
just said you can.
No. I mean, what I'm talking about, it should, for example, if I come into your house and someone introduces me to your uncle, I'm not gonna say, "Hey, how you doing?" I mean, there's no reason for me to respect him other than you respect him, and so and I would do it right. It would shake hands. I mean, if it was a martial artist, I would bow. For example, once I was in Toronto and Chida Sensei, it was quite interesting because I was there to be Chida Sensei's translator, but he was going out with Kimira Sensei. And so I was teaching, and in the middle of class, both Chida Sensei and Kimira Sensei came into the gymnasium where I was teaching. So that was kind of a little bit stressful there, both of them watching me teach. And afterwards, we went out to have something to drink and something to eat. And it was really funny. And one of Nick's students, he said, "Oh, this is Chida Sensei." And the guy said to Chida Sensei, "Hey, how you doing, man?" You know, and the whole, you could see a lot of people, they didn't care. But I could see Nick almost panicking, but Chida Sensei was really cool about it. And I really think that's great. But what I'm getting at is, for example, you know this because we were in Japan, if there's a whole bunch of people at a table and everyone gets your drinks, and you wait until everyone has a drink, and you say, kampai or something. But so yes, it should be, you shouldn't expect it, but you have to be aware and see how things are going.
So here's the problem. People get a sandan or yondan or something, right?
Yeah.
And their teacher makes them an instructor, and they think they deserve the respect.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What they get is superficial. You want to earn real respect, you have to earn it. Superficial respect is, is someone bowing to you, calling you sensei, bam. That's one thing.
Yeah. Well,
but
yeah.
You need to earn it. You need to earn it. And going back to that previous question about women in martial arts, anyone who doesn't call instructors in my dojo, male, female, black, white, yellow, whatever, sensei, is in trouble. Anyone disrespecting my instructors, you're in trouble. But true respect, those instructors have to earn. Superficial respect is there.
Yeah, I agree. And also, for example, you might remember when we were in Holland, and I said something. I was, talking about getting together and with sessions and people talking. I remember, you might remember, some people have heard this story, but someone asked me what does Shihan mean? And people have heard this story before, and I asked everyone. And then you might remember Igarashi, the little guy who was one of the accountants at the dojo, took me aside and said that the Shihan title means your technique and personality, or your technique, personality are a reflection of the style, or your technique and character are a reflection of the style, which I thought was was really perfect and a bit pressure. But I said to the guys, and this is coming back to what we were talking about, and I said, I thought that was brilliant. And I said, I don't know of anyone who's more deserving of the Shihan title than you. And the fact that last night at the party, some of you guys were calling you Joe really, really, really pissed me off. And they better not do it in front of me again.
And I thank you. But to digress, thank God for double standards, because if we didn't have double standards, we'd have no standards at all.
Yeah.
How many Yoshinkan Shihans don't deserve that title?
Oh, we can't even go there.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you.
One who taught you on your course, Mr. S.
Okay.
And then there's others too, right? But you tell me their character was exemplary of their.
Who knows? Hey, I had someone tell me they made sure that they knew that they were Shihan before me, and I thought, yeah, but you just did. This is the whole thing. We could talk about this forever. Yeah, but you just did a class where you did 4 techniques wrong.
All right.
I saw. I'll do it right. And for example, when someone who won't be named was in Vancouver, he was in Vancouver 5 times and nobody ever invited me to go to his seminar, which was perfect because I wouldn't have gone. I mean, if he invited me, I would have gone because I think you have to. But I'm not going to show up just because. I think, it's right. But, and the truth is, I saw this and I was watching a seminar where the teacher did a technique on the student, and the student, you could see him, he was looking at his, those movies where, oh, he kissed my hand, I'm never washing my hand ever again, that type of thing. The guy was looking at his lines like he'd been touched by some kind of Aikido god. But here's the kicker, Joe. He was doing a technique wrong.
I saw a top Shihan being corrected by Izuke in a demonstration.
Well, send me on messages. Tell me who that was, because I just can't believe that. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. And you. Anyway, okay, people.
Yeah,
sorry, it's time. We got to wrap this up. Mustard Sensei, you got any last words? Final words.
You get the last word. You're the one who's. I'm the interviewer. I always say you get the last word. This has been. I was really worried that I might below everything, but actually I think I was reasonably incompetent, so I'm happy with that. So
Yep.
I appreciate you giving me the chance to let me see some people, the Joe Thambu that I really know. Miserable old bastard. So
Okay, people.
you get the last. You get the last word.
Will you shut up and then I'll get the last
Tell him to
word.
join. Tell him to join Aikido TV and tell him how great I am and get on with it. Come on.
All right. Hashtag keep the flame alive. Thank you very much, Robert Mustard Sensei, for interviewing me. People, I hope that wasn't as boring as watching paint dry. I hope you got something out of it.
And tell everyone that asked the questions, I really appreciate it. I hope I got everyone. I think I did. I'm not sure if I missed you. You tell them. You get the last word.
Okay. All right. So this is why I like being the interviewer, because then I can control things, unlike some people who are, just a bit out of control. People, thank you very much. And the next interview will be in 2 weeks. It's going to be a surprise, mainly because I'm not sure who it is yet. So it'll be a surprise to me as well. But tune in. If you want to see these interviews keep going, show us your support on Facebook, share it, do whatever you want.
I'm going to join Aikido TV. You don't have your.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Join Aikido TV. I'm a bad at. Yeah, okay. And on Aikido TV, we're going to have guest instructors as well, like, what's his name? Oh, sorry, Mustard Sensei, and a few other people as well. So we're going to throw it out open a bit more. And if you got requests, please throw it at us. And some people sent in technical questions. Neither of us answer technical questions in a pub or online. You got to come to a seminar or come to our dojos. Master Sensei, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was great. I really enjoyed it. Let's do it again in a couple months. I'll think of more harder questions.
No, we won't. No, I can't think of anything more boring. Thank you, everyone. Cheers. Bye.